Hi guys, welcome back. So we're here again with another video, except today is a story time. Let's get into it. So, as you read the title, today we're going to talk about camping on the beach. And I just did this for my 26th birthday. My friends actually surprised me, which was the sweetest thing in the world, especially because I was going in about wanting to be on a beach because I live up north in California now. I'm not that close to a beach as opposed to living in LA. So I've been just like, oh, I want to be on the water somewhere. Like, I've just been wanting that. And my friends listened and they surprised me with a random trip to the beach. So their initial plan was to do a road trip down the Pacific coast, right? And they decided to go beach hopping. So not only like, let's go to a beach, let's go to multiple beaches is their plan, which was just, it was great. At first they wanted to just keep me out of the secret, but then they realized like maybe it will help if I knew, because then I know how to to pack for it or how to be prepared for it and all that jazz. So they ended up letting me in on it, and then we tried to figure out exactly how we wanted to go about it. So whether or not we wanted to just kind of pick the beaches as we go or pick the beaches prior to driving. So they decided to do 3 beaches. It was Santa Cruz, Big Sur, and then Santa Barbara. And I've never been to either one of those beaches, actually. I lived in LA for a very long time, but I've never went outside of like Venice and Malibu and like those main beaches. Never really went upwards towards Santa Barbara or any of the other beaches. So this was actually pretty cool. And then we tried to figure out, exactly what supplies we needed. Since they decided, let's camp on the beach, at first I was like, can you do that? Well, my friend looked it up, and you actually can at certain beaches. They do allow you to camp on the beach. So we were like, well, if they're gonna let us camp on the beach, we're gonna do that. And we weren't thinking like, oh, RV camp or in the car. They're like, no, let's get a tent and literally camp on the beach. And I was like, okay. So we went through a checklist with each other, like, okay, so we're bringing the tent, we're bringing blankets, just basic things. But as I get into this, I'll let you know how underprepared we were, but it's all part of the experience. We ended up leaving Friday night. My birthday's June 11th. We ended up leaving Friday night to drive down to Santa Cruz, which is where we decided would be the beach we actually camped on. The other 2 beaches we would just visit. So we get to Santa Clara. It's nighttime, like close to midnight, and it's pitch black dark, obviously, because the beach doesn't have lights. We end up going very close to the shore, right? And this is kind of bringing me into the 5 things I would have changed. So 5 things I would change about how we camped on the beach, and if you're looking to ever try this, how I recommend going about it. So we ended up bringing the tent, which was great. Setting up the tent was a bit of a hassle because obviously we're in the middle of sand and all of that, but we got it up pretty quickly. And my friend B was actually really smart enough to bring like a electric lantern, so we had really good lighting. So that was one thing, if you were ever going to try this, to put on your list, is some type of like light or portable flashlight, whatever, to take with you so that you do have light on the beach. We ended up Googling that beach in particular, and it said that they did allow camping on site. I don't know if the area we were in was necessarily legal, but we did it anyway. We put the tent together, and it was pretty close to the water, but like we assumed, okay, like the water is at least a good like 50 feet away. Like even if it does, the shoreline comes in closer as the day comes up. We assume we'd be okay. We ended up having like 3 blankets, no pillows, because when you go to the beach on regular, you're like, oh, it's comfortable, like we don't need a pillow. Absolutely bring a pillow. Like, sand is hard, and I don't know if that's just something I never paid attention to because I don't really lay in the sand as much. If I go to the beach, I'm normally in the waters or sitting, but it's very hard. And laying on it is not the most comfortable. So that was not fun. As far as like head comfort, we didn't have a pillow or anything like that, so we ended up using sweatshirts and stuff, which helped. And then blankets. So you know, the beach is a lot colder than the actual temperature outside of the beach, right? So it was quite freezing. And you have to also think that it's at like midnight, so it's at like the most cold it can possibly get, and it was just so cold. And it's crazy because the day before we were at Target, and I told my friend, well, my friend actually told me like, ooh, a weighted blanket, and I was like, we don't need a weighted blanket, it's like $70, like we don't need that. That would have come in handy to have a nice thick weighted blanket. Would have kept us nice and warm, because we had like 3 kind of like fleece or throws, and that did not work. It was so cold. Like the breezes were coming in through the tent, because the tent's breathable, and it's just like, it was cold. So we slept, but not really, because we were like constantly waking up like, oh, are you cold? Like, can I have more blanket? Like, can you share? Like, can we cuddle? Like, what do we need to do? And so that's another thing, is definitely bring thicker blankets, or at least wearing like layers of clothing so that you're warm, because you obviously want to be comfortable. Another thing, so that's 2 things so far: the weighted blankets, pillows. Weighted blanket and pillows are together, and then needing a light of some sort, just in case you are up in the tent, you're talking or playing games or whatever, you want to have light inside of there. It pretty much, you treat it just like going actual camping, because you don't have like readily available resources, especially like if you gotta use the bathroom or something. There's no portable or like close bathroom for you to just walk to. You're on the beach literally, and I will insert pictures and videos so you can see what it looked like. We were legit smack dab on the beach, and we're the only people on the beach, which is definitely a once in a lifetime experience, and I definitely would recommend adding it to a bucket list of yours if you haven't already. The third thing I would say, okay, so when we woke up, we were wet. Like the bottom of the tent area was wet, and that was because we were too close to the water. So one thing I would recommend, or I would change, is being further away from the water. We were so desperate to be like, oh, we're on the beach, that we were like 2 on the beach, and pretty much everything outside of our tent got a little bit wet because of like the moisture in the air. Our tent itself was like the bottom of it, where our feet were wet. Can you imagine cold feet, wet, moist? It's fresh in the morning, 5 a.m. That's what time we woke up. It was so cold. So definitely being further away from the water would be recommended. I definitely recommend having multiple friends. We did have that, and I'm just relaying that over. It's not something I would say to do alone, especially because you're on a beach by yourself. I mean, by all means, if you want to, but I would recommend having friends just in case, for safety reasons. And now I can kind of shift into the positives, because those were the only like negatives, and they weren't really negatives. It really made the experience, because it's that much more memorable thinking about it in that way, you know, like, oh my gosh, we were freezing, like all those things just kind of stick with you. So I wouldn't change any of it like that, but I would be prepared next time, more prepared. With the positive sides, first of all, you slept on a beach. Like, telling people that is just cool. Like, yeah, I slept on a beach, like camped on a beach with a tent and everything, like super cool. Waking up to the water and the sunrise was just priceless. I wouldn't change that for the world. It was just a great experience to wake up and hear the sounds of the water at nighttime, seeing all the stars. Ow. At nighttime, seeing all the stars was very beautiful, because there's no lights, so it was just so vivid, and you just feel so connected to everything, which made it that much better. I know had we gotten there earlier in the day, would have probably been cool too. We got there pretty late at nighttime, because we were so spontaneous about the whole trip in general, but being there a little bit earlier to actually kind of like maybe watch the sunset and go into a sleep would have been nice too. But either way, it was a great time. I do recommend having weapons of some sort, just in case, because again, you're on the beach. in most times, or it's likely that you'll be alone with whoever you're with. So having weapons, we did have a few weapons on us, just, we're girls and we're on a secluded beach and you just never know. So that's honestly something I would recommend, just to be prepared in that way too, because if someone was to pull up on us, we were ready. We were ready. So after we woke up in the morning, we woke up at around 5:30 a.m. We put the tent away. That was a little bit of hell because, again, you're on sand and all that, but B actually did that pretty much by herself, because me and Q actually, those are my friends, B and Q, I don't know what that's their nicknames. Q and I took everything else to the car because we had like sleeping bags and blankets and all these things, so we took all that back to the car while B put away the tent, came back, met her, and put away the tent fully because we had to help her put it into the bag and then take it to the car. From Santa Cruz, we hopped back on the freeway and we're on the coast again. And then we kind of made our way down. And as we drove, if we saw a really scenic area that we liked, we would stop, which is really great because there's so many different variations of the beach, like the rockiness of one area or the rigidness of another, a calm area. Our second stop was actually Big Sur. So Big Sur Beach was our second stop. We didn't stay there long. We just wanted to be there and, check out the side. It was very gorgeous. Loved every bit of it. Mind you, the weather was perfect all weekend, and I'm so grateful for that. Like, it wasn't too hot. It wasn't too cold. It was like perfect temp, clear skies. Loved, it was great. We actually stumbled across a hike. I don't know if this was at Big Sur or in between somewhere. We stumbled across a hike in our chanclas. We had our flip-flops on. And we were like, let's just walk this hike. So we ended up walking the hike, which was very beautiful. It was very woodsy, actually, which is really cool because you're right at the beach, but then the hike itself is pretty woodsy, except for like little creeks. And then we stumbled across like a tunnel that was really cool, which I'll insert a picture. Went through the tunnel, made our way out, and then went back up. And that was fun because we got a little exercise, got a hike in, and we sat on some rocks and just chat and talked and took pictures, obviously. It was breathtaking, honestly. It was breathtaking. Lastly, we hop back in the car again and we finally make it to Santa Barbara. And this is now Saturday midday sometime, maybe like 5, 4, something like that. Maybe a little bit earlier, actually. And Santa Barbara, by the way, is gorgeous. Never been to Santa Barbara. If I have, I don't quite remember it, but it is beautiful. And I would have loved to go to school in that area because I'm like, this is where you go to school. Like, you get to just walk to the beach and be around all this like beautiful palm trees, and it was such a great atmosphere. Like, as far as the restaurants and stores and everything, it's just the whole atmosphere was nice. And once we got to Santa Barbara, we ended up actually going to the beach there as well. So we got some food, sat down, ate really good Mexican food. And then we went to the beach and decided to take a nap on the beach because we were tired again, obviously, from driving and stuff. And just getting out and walking and hiking, and we're in the heat. So we were like, let's take a nap on the beach. So we went to the Santa Barbara beach, laid out our blankets and listened to some music for a little bit, and then we took a nap. And it was very peaceful. It was a very quick nap too, but it was just so peaceful. I slept good for about 20 minutes, I think it was. Maybe longer, maybe shorter. Don't quite remember. I was woken up because I would have probably stayed asleep a lot longer. And then I think at one point we were thinking about camping in Santa Barbara, but then we changed our minds and we're like, no. We're gonna get a hotel because we weren't fully prepared. I think if we were fully prepared, we would have been down to try and maybe pull that again, but we weren't. So we were like, let's get a hotel room where we can be warm in the bed. So we ended up getting a hotel room and slept there. We just chilled in the hotel for a little bit, then slept, and then woke up the next morning and drove back home. And it was just like that. And the drive back home, we actually took the more like mountain ride or mountain route, where it was more like mountains and hills and things like that versus the ocean, which is cool because you got the best of both worlds. On the way there it was all oceans and beaches, and then the way back it was like mountains. So just a lot of nature. And if you love nature, definitely give this video a thumbs up. If you would try this, give this video a thumbs up. It was such an amazing experience. I will never forget my 26th birthday for that reason, and I'm so grateful for my friends to even consider doing something like that for me. And if you're worried about price, honestly, I spent a little over $100, and that might have been between all three of us. We might have all spent a little over $100, and that's including the hotel room we slept in. If you take out the hotel room, realistically, this is a very inexpensive trip. Yeah, cool times. But that's my story for the day. I just want to come in, chit chat, sit down and talk with you guys. Comment below if you would try this, if you have any questions about it. If you want to start a conversation with me, by all means, stay tuned for my next video. I don't know what it will be, but it will be something fun. I think you'll be the judge. Give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and see you next time. Bye.
Wow, look at how pretty it is. Like, the different colors.